Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from the beautiful metaverse and more specifically from beautiful Danville, Illinois, homeland of the Corellian tradition, and this is Midday with Reverend Don. Welcome. And as you know, if you follow Midday with Reverend Don, you can type your questions or comments into whatever platform you're watching on, and in most cases, they'll show up here in my chat room. The chat room is on the screen because I have no guests today, and we can share it together. And I hope you're having a good day. Yesterday, I was celebrating the birthday of Ed the Pagan, also known as Ed the Coffee Pusher, also known as Ed Hubbard, and we had an interesting discussion about the future. Today, I thought I would kind of continue looking at the future by offering mini readings. So if you're interested in a mini reading, let me know. I don't do this terribly often, but I thought I would today. And I figure we will see where that leads us. Meanwhile, I'm going to talk about, I'm not quite sure what, but looking at the future is always a very interesting thing because uh, I was talking yesterday with a young man named Mr. Duck, and we were talking about psychism and what it is. And I was pointing out that in being a psychic, you have to keep judgment out of it. You have to approach it um, with common sense, and you have to bear in mind that your hopes and fears can influence the reading. So you need to keep them out of it. And hello to Renee in the chat room, and Renee would like a reading dealing with money. So let's shuffle the cards. And we shall draw 3 cards for Renee. 1 card has already escaped, and I will have to retrieve that. When a card jumps out of the deck that way, I don't know if you saw it jump out or not, but when that happens, it means it wants to be in the reading so badly that it's not waiting to be drawn. And you can actually see me shuffling today. That's not always the case on camera, but today you can. And I will lay out my cards, and I shall turn over 3. And let me take just a moment to retrieve the one that ran away. Oh, well, and the SKP is very significant. So the cards that I have drawn are the King of Lamps. And the King of Lamps is meditation. And hello to Steve Taylor in the chat room. Meditation and self-reflection. So it's saying that this time, it's not a direct reference to money, but it's saying that at this time you want to be looking at the things that really matter to you, the things you really want, and looking at anything inside that might be blocking prosperity. You also have the Lovers, which often indicates a choice. So it may be that there's a choice you can make that will influence this financial situation. And finally, you have the 7 of Lamps. And the 7 of Lamps is purification and renewal. So you're going to find, as you come out of the current financial situation, that it will be a bit of a rebirth. It will be a renewal, and it will be positive. But the one thing I definitely don't notice is a lot of coin cards. Let me draw one more card for actual finances. Well, the card I've drawn is the Heart. So it's kind of saying right now, focus on spirituality, focus on emotions. Money will come, but it's not coming immediately. However, the card that got out is the King of Cups, which is happiness. So it's saying, yeah, it's not necessarily going to be bad, but right now, focus on meditation, focus on clearing internal blockages, and that will be the best thing to do. And hello to Kayleen in the chat room. And Kayleen joins us from Australia. And thank you, Renee. I hope you found that helpful. And would anyone else like a reading? Or I can just continue talking. I'm reading with the Tarot of Hecate, of course. We currently have an order in for the Tarot of Hecate that people are anxiously waiting on, but it's taking forever. Oh, and hello to Melanie in the chat room. And Melanie would like a reading about career. So let us do that. I'm going to shuffle the cards. I was saying we have an order for new Tarot of Hecate. It's in process, and it's been unusually difficult, but we're expecting it sometime soon. I designed this deck in the 1980s. And we shall draw 3 cards for Melanie on the subject of career. And Renee says, that was awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Renee. And Kayleen has also asked for a reading. And three cards for Melanie and career. Okay. So the first card is the Prince of Wands. Or, I'm sorry, the Five of Wands. The Five of Wands is conflict. And that suggests there might be conflict around you in your career situation, or it may be conflict in terms of what you want in your career situation. But there are conflicts that are causing problems. At the same time, you have the Queen of Cups, which is happiness. And I would guess, looking at this, that the conflict has to do with happiness, and that you may be finding it now or in the future important to balance your happiness and your career in ways that are more fulfilling, or at least more balanced. Finally, we have the Four of Swords, which is waiting, stasis. So in terms of the career situation, I think there's a lot of conflict in it. I don't see immediate change in it, but there's also a certain amount of happiness around it and a need to bring happiness into it. I'm going to draw one more card for you. We call this the Brian card. And I've drawn the Mind. And the Mind is one of those cards that is in the Tarot of Hecate, but not in a normal tarot. And the Mind says, in dealing with this career situation, you have to think your way through it. You cannot feel your way through it. You cannot intuit your way through it. You have to think your way through it, which you are totally capable of doing. But it's going to take some thought. And in making the decisions that you need to consider first and foremost your happiness, which brings us back to that Queen of Cups. So in dealing with your career, I wouldn't look for an immediate change, but to bring about the changes you want, be thinking about how to do that. The means will be before you. It will be things you can do, but you're going to have to suss them out. And you need to do it with an eye to your own happiness, not necessarily other considerations. Not to say that you don't want to be concerned about the economic potential of the job and the career situations, but you want to make sure that you are happy with what you're doing. Otherwise, it will not be successful. And there you go. And Kayleen has said, I would be interested in a mini reading, please. So we will do a general reading for Kayleen. And if you like this kind of mini reading, every Thursday night, Divination TV does Tarot Thursday. Sometimes I appear there. Most often, it's Brian Ellicott Cook, along with host, Reverend Mary Hawk, and they do mini readings for an hour. Melanie says, thank you, Melanie. And hopefully I'll get to see you sometime soon. Melanie is an old friend of over 30 years from the Chicago area, the head of Panthea Temple. Wonderful person. So we're going to shuffle for Kayleen, and then Lolan has asked, and hello to Lolan, has asked for a general reading, or a general reading. One of the things about doing psychic readings, and this was part of my conversation with the doc, is that you don't always understand what you get, but you don't need to. It's not for you. It's for the person. And you need to take what you get and not judge or analyze it, but merely relate it, which is not easy for some people. It is an art. And sometimes not an easy one, because people love to analyze. Three cards for Kayleen. Our first card is the Seven of Coins, followed by the Queen of Coins, and hello to Unique One in the chat room, followed by the Past. The Past is another one of those cards that is in the Tarot of Hecate, which has 100 cards, but not in a normal tarot deck, which has a different number of cards. So the Seven of Pentacles suggests that Kayleen is going to find herself with a number of things to choose from in going forward, a number of possible paths that have not been decided between yet. This could be a number of different ways of doing the same thing, could be a number of totally different things, but that choice is in front of Kayleen, or about to be in front of Kayleen, and it probably has financial implications because it's the suit of coins or pentacles. With it is the Queen of Pentacles, which reiterates that financial aspect. Queen of Pentacles is prosperity. And it says that Kayleen is likely to find herself certainly concerned with prosperity, but probably also experiencing prosperity in this coming 6 months. So I would look for a pretty good time in terms of prosperity, but there are decisions that have to be made in going forward. Advice to deal with that is the past, which says, look at your past. You can see in the picture, the lady is looking at a reflection of her past self in the mirror of memory, the well of memory. And this card says that in judging your situation, you can use the advice of the past to help you make your decisions. That's not always true, but in this case, it will be. What worked in the past will work again. What did not work in the past is not going to do any better. So judge your future decisions based on how things have gone in the past, and expect cycles to go in similar ways. So if you're thinking of starting a new project that failed before, don't do it. Don't do it the same way. Make changes. If you're thinking of starting a new project or going in a new direction that was very successful before, go right ahead. Use your past as a guide to the future. And I'm going to draw one more card, because of course I am. And we've drawn the King of Cups, which says it's going to be a good, happy time. So a good reading for Kaylee. And then our next person who wanted a reading, I have to go back a little bit. I believe it's Lolan. And Lolan would like a general reading, and Lolan says, I'm Hecatean, and this seems like a good synchronicity since you're using the Tarot of Hecate. Um, and Kayleen says, that makes sense and is very helpful in terms of where I am. Thank you, Kayleen. I'm glad to hear that. So we shall now shuffle for Lolan. Of course, we start by clearing the deck. You always clear. Very important. And then we shall shuffle for Lolan. Lolan says, is the Tarot of Hecate a creation of yours? Yes, it is. I designed this deck in the mid-1980s in black and white. It was originally going to be published by J.R. Janoski out of California as a black and white tarot deck, because at that time that was the best they could afford. And getting tarot cards printed was far harder than it is today, despite the occasional hiccups we still have. And then it sat in storage for 20 years. And in the early 2000s, we created the color version of it and published it for the first time, because J.R. Janoski never did publish it. And we've had it around ever since, and we have a number of extensions to it as the Infinite Tarot. So you can have an extremely large tarot deck if you want. And we shall draw 3 cards for Lolan. And hello to Kathleen Connor in the chat room. And hello to Vivian P. in the chat room. And Vivian P. says it's snowing in Missouri around the St. Louis area. It's supposed to be snowing here tomorrow. I am not looking forward to this. And for Lolan, 3 cards. The 3 cards that we have drawn are the 5 of Wands, 6 of Cups, and 4 of Wands. The 5 of Wands, again, is conflict. And so I would expect Lolan to find themselves in a situation where they're having a certain amount of conflict, either around them or in terms of what they want to do, how they want to react to things. Conflict in terms of how to proceed. Inner or outer conflict. And in dealing with that, once again, things out of the past are going to be important. Now, the 6 of Cups is a slightly different card referencing the past. In this case, it's not necessarily using the past for guidance. It's people that you've known in the past or situations you have been in the past becoming relevant to the future. Sometimes it means repeating patterns. Very often it means a person or a particular situation coming back in. So watch for someone or something out of your past influencing this situation of the present with those conflict around, and the outcome, the 4 of Wands, is success and celebration in community. So very positive outcome. And I'm going to draw one more card because why not? And our final card for Lolan is the Heart, which again says that a lot of this is going to have to do with emotions. It's going to have to do with how you feel about things. That would lead me to think that the conflict I'm seeing is more internal, but the outcome again is very positive, and so there may be a certain amount of emotional healing involved in this also. And Unique One says it's snowing in Virginia too. And hello to Manoj Kumar in the chat room. And Manoj says, I am planning to shift my family to a new place. I'd like a mini reading to find out if it will be a successful move. And hello to Elle in the chat room. And we will shuffle for Manoj. I'm actually clearing them first. And when you do this, I remember when I was first starting, there was always the question, how long do you shuffle? And the answer is, until it feels right. Magical Mermaid says it's lovely in the Seattle area today. And hello, Magical Mermaid. And Lolan says, thanks. 564 heart. Interesting numeric. That was special and accurate. Thank you. So we're reading for Ménage and the shift in the location of the family. And I see that Elle has also asked for a reading, which will probably be the last one that I have time for today. And we have an escapee. And as I was saying earlier, when a card jumps out of the deck that way, it's important to be in the reading. It wants to be drawn so badly it can't wait. This is the Ten of Wands. And now let us draw 3 cards, and we have the Ten of Lamps, the Four of Wands, and the Empress. So in terms of this, let me remind myself of the exact phrasing of this. You know, the shifting the family to a new place. The first card here is the Ten of Lamps. The Ten of Lamps is personal skill, personal enlightenment, personal success. It's a very positive card of a good outcome, of personal strength, of personal ability. You can see the lady is surrounded by symbols of enlightenment and achievement. So I'm inclined to say it will go very well. Four of Cups, again, is celebration in community. And the Empress is prosperity. So I would say this would be a very positive move. So in terms of the question, will it work out? Absolutely. And over here we have the Ten of Wands, which fell out of the deck. And the Ten of Wands is a card of waiting. And so it's saying that really the only problem here is waiting until you get it done. So I think there'll be a lot of anticipation. But when you get it accomplished, you'll be quite happy with it. And Kayleen says, for a little contrast on the weather, today will be 93 degrees Fahrenheit here in Narm, Melbourne, Australia. And I've been to Melbourne. It's a lovely city. So now we're going to read for Elle. And I'm going to do a general reading for Elle. And Elle said that in a different reading they had been told they had a stalker, and I assume that's kind of a question here. So we'll read generally for Elle and also in terms of whether there's anything for Elle to be worried about. I've drawn the Tower, Seven of Swords, and the Princess of Wands. Now I'm going to draw a card particularly for whether there is some sort of stalker person that Elle should be worried about. And I've drawn the Ace of Swords. I'm going to draw a second card. I'm not drawing the Two of Cups. Let us look at these cards. So, in terms of where L is generally speaking, we have the Tower, and the Tower is change and transformation. So, I think L is going to find in the next few months a lot of change going on in their lives, a lot of change around them. Seven of Swords. This is a situation where there can be considerable success, but you will feel yourself working to build that success. And the Princess of Wands says you're almost ready for it, not quite, but it's coming. So I would look for a lot of changes that are potentially very positive, but will take a lot of work. Now, as for the question, is there a stalker? We have the Ace of Swords and the Two of Cups. So what I think I'm inclined to say, I don't consider either of those to be what I would call dangerous cards. So I'm not going to say that the other reader necessarily picked up something that isn't there, but maybe made something out of it that it is not. So I don't think I would say that there's a need to be worried about that. That there may be someone with an unrequited affection in your direction, maybe, but I'm not seeing anything negative around it from these cards. Let me draw one more card, because of course I'm going to draw one more card. I've drawn the Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands is satisfaction. It's a good positive card. And so I would say again, I would not be worried about there being a stalker figure because of that other reading. And I would look for a lot of change coming in your life, but I would think it would be positive. And with that, we've come to the end of our half hour. Manoj says, thank you so much. The cards show lots of feminine energy, and the family members I am planning to move are all females. Wonderful. And Vivian says, I would love to have a reading. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but on Thursday, the Tarot Thursday program, you can get all the readings you want. Everybody, they spend a whole hour doing readings. I, however, only have half an hour, and we now need to take a moment for a word from our sponsors. Why? Because we love our sponsors. Ready to unlock the secrets of the universe? Join me, Rev Don Lewis, for my metaphysical and magic auctions at Gaia Thrift at whatnot.com. Discover fascinating artifacts, mystical crystals, and rare and unusual books that could change your life. Don't miss this chance to bring a little magic into your world. Rev Don's Metaphysical and Magic Auctions, where the extraordinary can become yours. And thank you to our sponsors, Equinox Learning Hub and Rev Don's Metaphysical and Magic Auctions. I'll have news of our next auction soon. And Elle says, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Thank you, Elle. And Kayleen says, Blackthorn's Protection Magic is a combination of physical and magical safety that I recommend as good general advice for anyone about safety. And I think that's actually important for everyone, especially in these days. And regarding Elle and the possible stalker, I'm certainly not saying don't take any relevant protections. I'm just saying I don't think there's actually someone there. If you have some reason to think you have a stalker, other than just that one psychic reading, do everything possible to protect yourself, absolutely. And if you have no reason to, well, still do common sense things to protect yourself. Everyone should. Um, and I am a great believer in being practical in the way that we live our lives. And, it's always good to look both ways before you cross that street, regardless of what the street may be. So thank you, everyone. This has been a lovely half hour. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll be back tomorrow when my guest will be Chris Copeland, and we'll be talking about Corellian publishing. And thank you all for joining me. And let us close with our prayer, as we always do. And Divine Mother Goddess, Divine Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you for all of the guidance you give us in life. We rejoice in this walk we walk together, and knowing that you are always with us can give us so much more strength as we go forward into uncertain times. Help us to be forewarned and forearmed of all that we face. Beloved Mother Goddess, beloved Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you with great love, and knowing you are always with us, from respect, we thank you for your presence, and may you be blessed now and always. May you be blessed now and always, and I will see you tomorrow.